Welcome to the Growth Room with David Daniels. Today, we're incredibly fortunate to have Mike Warren, the CEO and founder of Alethia Strategic Business Solutions. Mike, with his Pepperdine MBA, is a lauded corporate strategy consultant who has a passion for helping leaders unlock their full potential. Today, we'll be diving into his unparalleled approach to management consulting and exploring the significant trends he's observing in the industry. Mike, it's a pleasure to have you. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you, David. Nice to be here.
Perfect, Mike. Can you share a little bit about your background and your role at Alethea?
Sure. How far back do you want me to go? You want me to go to birth? Because it kind of starts there. So I
Now let's
could.
let's let's just go with Pepperdine
All
MBA.
right, cool. So I have been in the coaching and consulting world for 26 years now. So I'm 57 years old. I have been an entrepreneur and been in business since I was in my teenage years. My dad helped my brother and I started a business that I bought my brother out of in my mid 20s and had my first exit when I was in my late 20s. And it was a very decent exit and didn't know what to do with myself. So I spent a year playing golf, met a guy on a golf course. He's like, hey, you should be a stockbroker, financial planner. I was like, okay, let's try that. So I did that, and I've had that career for 30 years. So I've been in the investment banking, M&A world, broker dealers, RIAs, things like that. And so during that time, I had a lot of people that were coming to me, asking me to help them scale their businesses because they had known that I'd had a successful exit. I was now in the M&A space. My firm was an investment banking firm. I owned half of the firm, and part of our jobs were to raise capital and take companies public, take them private, do the filings, S1s, 15C211s, all kinds of other work for them. So a lot of times we would invest or we would raise capital for companies, and then we'd notice that their leadership and management were lacking a little bit and would not do well in the public markets or even in the private markets for that matter. So several times I would go in and start coaching the executives and utilizing what I created, which was a program called consultative coaching. And consultative coaching is simply using the principles of coaching, which is the great questioning abilities and getting people to look at their habits and their beliefs and their thoughts and their emotions, but also using the consulting aspect where I can identify a problem and tell an operator how to fix that problem. So I combine those two, and I just started doing that. And I had two really amazing mentors that coached me very early in my career. And so I just started developing a reputation for being able to go into companies, utilize consultative coaching, do some turnarounds during that time, but also help people scale and get to exit a lot quicker than they normally would have. So I've seen in my career over 100 exits at
Nice.
this point, and I can't take credit for them. I never would, but I have worked in every single one of them in one aspect or another as either a coach, a consultant, or as an investment banker in all of them.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
With the advent of, I guess, the baby boomers retiring and getting away from their businesses, how does that affect your business at all?
Wow, that's a great question. So the baby boomer, let me kind of back up a little bit. You know, the baby boomer era created a lot of hardworking legacy wealth for a lot of people over the years, right? The transition of that capital into their kids and now their grandkids has definitely transformed how business is done and how business is run because you're seeing a lot of that legacy wealth coming from family offices where the children are expected to carry on the legacy. And many of those children do not want to carry on the legacy. They just want the money.
Right.
So it has definitely changed things. And listen, the progression of the internet, the progression of AI, the progression of all of these technologies that we've seen in the last 20 years has changed everything too. So the baby boomer money is there. It's not necessarily finding its way into business. And people are creating a lot of different other types of businesses out there that are not relying on daddy or granddaddy's money anymore. So it has affected it from a, I've got some wealth because somebody passed it down to me, but it's not necessarily translating into I'm going to take over the family business anymore. We've seen a lot of people just, they get that inheritance, they get the business, and all of a sudden they're like, I just want to sell the business. I want the money. It's
Right.
a very interesting time for us because there is still a lot of that money out there
Right.
and it is not being put to work. We've seen that in the last couple of years with venture and private equity. A lot of that money is transferred and it's just sitting in bank accounts because the interest rates are higher enough that people don't have to really take a lot of risk. So, when I'm looking at, wealth transactions and transfers, they're not necessarily going into business. A lot of times they're going into, I'm going to buy my home, my vacation home, my boat, my car, my yacht, whatever it is. It's like I said, it's a very interesting time for us.
Wow. Wow. A lot of exits and not so much reinvestment in the businesses. I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've seen. It's not a lot of reinvestment. A lot of these businesses, these legacy businesses are getting sold to private equity, quite honestly. I mean,
Wow.
that's where we're seeing a lot of M&A activity is legacy businesses. Kids get them. They don't want to run them. They just want the money and they sell. They're out.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, what would you say a typical day looks like for you in your business?
Wow. Okay. So, before we got on the show, I told you I travel 9 months out of the year. Okay.
Right.
I'm on the road. Now, obviously during COVID that didn't happen, but prior to COVID, I was speaking on stage about 150 to 200 days a year. I was traveling around working with corporate clients. I was doing a lot of M&A activity, and so my days looked different after COVID. We all went to Zoom. We all went to virtual, and that, while it was good for me on a monetary basis, I'm a people person. I
Right.
like to be in front of people. I like to be having the lunches, the dinners, the conversations, the face-to-face stuff. So my typical day is I will get up around 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. I will do a little meditation early. I will not look at my emails immediately. I won't turn my phone on immediately. I'll start my day out in a little bit of mindfulness so I can get my bearings straight. I don't sleep much. I get maybe 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night. I've never required a lot of sleep. So, I'm usually working a little bit in the morning on projects and things I need to work on. I usually don't even take a call until maybe 10 o'clock. And then I'll take calls all the way into the evening. I have calls I have clients that are global. So I have clients in Europe. I've got clients in Asia. I've got clients in South America, Canada, Europe. So, I have a really weird work schedule. I work when a lot of times my clients need to work, and sometimes that might be 2 o'clock in the morning. I might need to be up for a call or a Zoom or something else. And again, I am I'm on the road 9 months out of the year. In fact, this coming Saturday, not tomorrow, a week from now, I'll be gone in Boston for 4 or 5 days. I'll be in London, then I'll be in Spain and France and Italy and Greece, and then back into Cincinnati, and then back to London. Like I'm all over the place, and
Nice.
the joke is like, where's Mike? It's not
That's
where's
it.
Waldo, it's
That's
where's
it.
Mike right now. So every time I talk to a client, if I'm not face to face in front of them, they're like, "What part of the world are you in?" And I'm like, that like today, I'm in my RV down by the beach in Newport Beach, but Last week I was in Arizona. The week before I was in California again. The week before that I was in New York. Like, I mean, that's my schedule. So the typical day is based around flexibility and around a lot of my clients. But I learned something when I was at Pepperdine. I read a book by an author named David Rock, who runs and founded the Neuro Leadership Institute. And I learned in a book called Your Brain at Work that he wrote, the setup is everything, right? How you set up your day, how you set up your life, how you set up your conversations, everything you do, you can either set it up for success or you can set it up for failure. And they're both equally as habitual. So I try to set my days up usually the night before, maybe a couple days before. I know my schedule pretty well going into the week. Now things always change. There's always schedule changes, but I'm pretty good at setting things up so I know exactly what needs to get done, on a daily basis. I'm also a huge fan of the signal to noise ratio. So I like to spend at least 80% of my waking hours in signal and allow myself 20% of my time in noise. So noise can be, looking at social media. It could be hanging out and, talking to some friends. It could be taking a paddle board. It could be anything. But when I'm working on signal, I set myself up so I'm very, I don't get distracted.
Right.
And the more signal I can put out, the more results I can put out. So I've used a lot of those. I mean, I teach the neuro leadership methodology, but I use it in practicum as well. And it's very important for me. And I teach my clients the same thing,
No
same
doubt.
stuff.
No doubt.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What Thinking about the business, what major shifts are you seeing in the industry right now? You had mentioned earlier about being on Zoom, but now you're back, seems like, to pre-COVID regulations. But what other shifts have you seen?
I'll tell you what has been a game changer, especially in the coaching and consulting, as well as my venture capital firm. We use a lot of AI now, and not just Chat GPT. We use a lot of other types of AI. The amount of content that I can put out for clients, and I'm not talking about social media content and stuff like that. I'm talking about, really great concepts and things to follow, even contracts. Like, we use AI for due diligence now for all of our deals in our investment banking firm. I use it for lesson plans sometimes with clients. If I'm going in and teaching a full day retreat like I did earlier this week, I had a group of 18, went in, we did emotional intelligence training, leadership training, we did a bunch of mission, vision, values type of stuff. I used a lot of AI to create all of the materials that I needed to do that. Now, a couple of years ago, man, I would have been up all night for like a week putting all that stuff together, right?
Right.
Today, I wake up, I go, hey, Claude, let's create a lesson plan for this and this and this and this. And 3 minutes later, I've got a full blown, I've got my presentation, I got my slides, I got the artwork. It has saved me hours of time, and it has saved me lots and lots of money of having to outsource or hire somebody internally to do all this stuff for me. I'm down to only a few people that I work with anymore internally in my firms. Everything else has been generated and is being generated now by third party apps and programs and agencies that are familiar with how to run a lot of this stuff. I mean, listen, at 57, I'm still learning, right? But my daughter at 28, she's a master at it, right? She grew up with all of those protocols and everything else. She can run circles around. I'm still learning how to do it, so I'm not nearly as efficient as I could be yet, but I am working towards that. And that has been the single most game changer I've seen in the last couple of years is how integrated AI is into so many of the things that we're doing now. And I think it's important to recognize that AI is not going to take everybody's jobs, but it can, it can affect people's work in a positive way if they utilize the tools that are out there to do it with. And I'm doing it. I'm living proof of it, man. Yeah, what I did on Tuesday, I had a full day session with this firm, and I literally put the entire program together the day before, and it took me less than an hour
Nice.
for a full day session of everything. I mean, everything I need to do, handouts, slides, pictures. I even told it a couple times, like, hey, write a couple jokes in the, and they wrote some jokes for me, and they didn't land very well because AI doesn't know how to joke very well, but it was kind of funny. I was like, yeah, throw a couple one-liners in there through my presentation, and it did, and
Right. And that's
so
great. That's great.
yeah.
How does that impact your growth strategy for the business at all?
That's another great question. Listen, I'm at a point in my career where explosive growth or massive growth is not in the cards for me. I don't want to scale a giant agency. I don't want to have 100 coaches and consultants and investment bankers working for me. I'm at a point in my life where I want more control over my schedule, my time. I don't want to employ a lot of people. And so for me, those tools are allowing me to steal back a lot of time that I didn't have before, and it's affording me the ability to add more clients because I've become more efficient. So I can scale as big as I want, or I can not scale if I want as well. And I have more control over that scalability because it's not reliant mostly on human capital, which is what most businesses traditionally have been accustomed to. Human capital, if you look at a P&L, and look at your financials, normally human capital is about 60% of your overhead.
Right.
And in my business now, I'm the only human capital other than maybe a couple other people that are in the uh on the balance sheet and the P&L, and we're probably, I'm down to about 20-25% on the human capital number, where I used to be 65% on the human capital number. So from a growth perspective, I could I could blow it up if I wanted to. I could turn my business into a multi-million dollar a month business, but I really don't have a desire to do that anymore. I want to work with higher quality, clients and less of them. And if I want to scale, I certainly could do that. But for me, it's not, for me, it's a time gift.
Yeah, I got you.
For other businesses, it's a scaling gift,
Yeah, I got you.
right? Yeah, I'm actually trying to take less people on than more people right now. I'm saying no about 85% of the time now. I'm only taking on the top 15%. And I've
Mm,
been doing that for probably the last 7 or 8 years. I try and manage my client stack because it's not all about money for me.
right.
I have done well in my life with what I've done. So my mission is not, I'm not money driven. I'm purpose driven, and my purpose is to really help as many entrepreneurs, business owners, and executives get to levels they never thought were even possible. And that's what drives me. And the money part is great, and I do get paid very well. So I don't focus on that aspect of the business. So growth
Right.
for me would be finding, higher quality clients and less of them. For other coaching and consulting firms, it's all about how many people can I stack? Can I do a online class and load in 500 people at $79 a month and all that stuff? I'm not about that. I'm not
I
about
got
that.
you. I got you.
Yeah.
With that in mind, though, if you had a magic wand just to fix one thing with the business that's slowing you down from that, even, what would you say it is?
Well, I'll tell you, and going back to this, what I just said earlier, right? It's about scaling.
Right.
In the older days of coaching, word of mouth was everything. Now, the coaching industry has become about social proof, how many ads you run. Are you Grant Cardone? Are you, Tony Robbins? Are
Right.
you, Hermosi? Like it's become a marketing game. It's become a marketing machine. And I don't hate the players. I don't even hate the game. It's just become different.
Right.
And so if you are not creating content as a coach or a consultant, you are going to lose out to people who have less experience, have not seen as many clients, maybe have no experience, have never built a business, have never been an executive, or all of these things. You have too many, you have a low barrier of entry now because the ability to put out content has become very easy. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of these places, Meta ads, Google ads, LinkedIn, YouTube. There's so many platforms now. You have to be creating content. I am not a great content creator. Now, I've written 5 books. Um, the first one is being published in the next 90 days. I've written these books over the last 7 years, and that's one aspect of it. But yeah, the marketing has become different, man. I run
Right.
into challenges now where, a 20-year-old kid will be a really great marketer and they'll be like, oh, I've scaled my coaching business to $100,000 a month, right? And I'm like, what kind of coaching are you doing? You're 20 years old. You've never built a business. You have no idea what coaching is all about.
Right.
You've never marketed anything in your life, but you figured out how to take these 5 or 6 programs that are out there and be able to market for other people and claim that you're a coach. Now, I've been a coach for 26 years. I've got degrees from great schools. I've built several businesses. I've coached 15,000 paid hours. I'm certified in 10 different things. You cannot tell me that a 20-year-old kid who's never done shit in his life
Can get that kind of experience, right?
get that kind of experience, right? I mean, let's be
Right.
honest. So, you
Right.
know, I the that's the frustrating part for me. And so, the marketing aspect of it has completely changed. And yes, the word of mouth is still great, but let's be honest. He who has the most money and the most influence wins in the marketing
Right.
game.
Right.
That's how it works. So again, I don't hate the players. I don't hate the game. I just wish I was better at it,
Well,
to be
Mike,
honest.
I usually do hate the game. Don't get it wrong.
Do you? Yeah, I don't hate the game, man. Like
I'm a line stepping hater of the game a lot. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
get it.
no, I get it, man. I'll tell you, there's so many clients of mine too that I talk to, and they ask me the same question, like, "Hey, how can we get more business?" I get a lot of people that want me to coach them on sales and marketing and operational execution, right? And they're always asking me, "How do I get more clients? How do I get more clients?" And I analyze their business, I do all that stuff, and it always comes down to the same 2 components, right? Money and influence. So you have to create the content so that you can be able to market it to create that influence. And that's kind of the secret sauce. So, and it's a game, man. And yeah, they all hate the game, but
Right.
I look at it differently. I look at it as we're evolving as business people. We're evolving as marketers, as salespeople, as operators, as manufacturers. We're trying to get to more efficiency, better for you products, better for you services. And yeah, things are going to evolve. And if you're not up to speed and in the game, you're toast. Okay, let's just be honest. Like,
What's up?
so you have to stay current, and a lot of times you got to be ahead of the game. And some of these, I'm going to admit, like some of these 20-year-old kids that are out there doing it, they're pretty damn smart. They've figured out the game, at least for
Mhm.
now, and they adapt really quickly and they make a bunch of money real quick and then they move on to something else. The days of, staying at IBM for 30 years and getting your gold watch and your
Oh,
your $1,000 a month pension is over
that's
and has
it.
been over for a while, right? So,
Yep.
yeah, you can hate the game, David. I understand. Trust me. I hear it
No
all the
doubt.
time. Yeah,
No
I hear
doubt.
it
No
all the time.
doubt. Mike, man, it's a pleasure. Thanks for sharing your insights. And I'm sure for the audience that we serve, it'll be very, very helpful. So I really appreciate you being here again.
Yeah, it is absolutely my pleasure.